Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video we're taking a look at KIZUNA Clash versus Kaido and doing a bit of team building for you guys to see what units are going to be the best way to take down Kaido, moving on past stage 30 and into those higher ranks. So on Kaido, there is a bunch of boosted units that are very, very good. The booster list is amazing. I'll bring that up at the end just before we go into the teams, but basically with this particular KIZUNA, we are going to have the chance of getting more Luffy and Hancock limit break materials, which is excellent. If you are still missing some for Zoro, Sanji, and Marco and Ace, you can also pick up those as well. Plus, the past KIZUNA Clash of Magellan is going to be back as well. So if you guys didn't finish Magellan, I would definitely highly recommend doing him. He is a progressive poison booster, and he's like a conditional buff for that as well, which triggers before. So you can actually like use that to get around stuff like full immunity and whatnot. So it's really, really handy. The powered up units on this particular KIZUNA are just incredible. We have got like Law, Kaido, Chopper, Sobermask, Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Robin, Shanks crew, Blackbeard, V2 Blackbeard, V2 Snake Man, Kid, Sugar, Smoker. Like the list goes on and on. Like there's just so many good units that you guys can bring to get around this particular piece of content. So in saying that, let's just quickly hop over to the Reddit now and check out that list. So Law is going to be a 2-time stat booster and get 15 turns of cooldown. He's also going to be Rainbow Affinity against all colors, and he's going to give 1.5 times tickets. Now Law has been out for a very long time on global compared to when this came out on JP. So this particular content came out on the release of Law on JP. So for us on global, we actually have had Law for a long time, and lots of people should actually have Law by now, being one of the best legends of the game and being very enticing to pull. So what I'll most likely be doing with my runs, I'll most likely be trying to put Law on the team somewhere, most likely as leader, as he's just boosted pretty much across the board, and with the 15 turns of cooldown we can get his special straight away. He's got an amazing special and he just sort of fits in everywhere. So I'm going to try and put him on as many teams as I possibly can, just for those 1.5 times tickets, and sort of evolve my teams as we go. In the video today though, I am not focusing on that. I will focus on that through my playthrough video, but keep an eye out for that moving forward as well. So if this video does help you out, guys, too, make sure to belt that like button, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with more OPTC videos too. So let's take a look at the other boosters as well. These guys are all getting 2-time stats and 15 turns of cooldowns, which is just absolutely nutty. Now that I'm actually looking at it, Blackbeard's going to have 15 turns of cooldown, so he's actually going to start with his special no matter what, so it is what it is. You guys will understand what I mean when that pops up in the video. But we have the rare recruits of Luffy and Saba that actually came out with Law. We have all 4 of the new dual Straw Hat characters. We have the Treasure Map Reiju. We have V2 6+ Rayleigh, Colosseum Gukimaru, Legend Sugar, Legend Smoker, the batch that came out with them, Caesar, Ivankov. Don't know why anyone would use that Ivankov, it's just garbage. Bonnie and Kuma and Moria, the free-to-play units as well, are boosted here too. We have the Rumble PvP Blackbeard. We have V2 Blackbeard and V3 Katakuri, the INT super types. We've got Kaido and Kid, Shanks crew, V2 Snake Man, Luffy, Taro, Zoro, Jiro, Sobermask, Nami and Robin, and Chopper. Now that list is nuts. There are so many good legends on that list that it's not even funny. So shout out to the OPTC subreddit. I will link the description, put a link to it in the description below. And yeah, let's hop into the teams and let's build some teams to take out Kaido. All right, so shout out to Frankie House, the KIZUNA team, for putting together this infographic. The first team we're actually going to talk about today is against the INT Variation. So the INT Variation of Kaido on the first stage, we are going to get our Free Spirit, Fighter, and Striker characters special charged by 15 turns. And then on stage 2, we come up against Hawkins. He starts at around 2 million HP and has 7,100 attack. I think it goes up by about 10% every single time. I think that's how the scaling works. Maybe. Nah, that sounds like a lot. Is it 10%? Let me know in the comment section below if you know the scaling. But basically, Hawkins and his preemptive gives you 5 turns of Despair, which will go down to 2 with sockets, and 3 turns of attack down. Now, I'm not sure how like significant that attack down is. You may be able to like just attack your way through it, but I guess we'll find out when we do our playthrough. On turn 1, we are going to get 3 turns of... after turn 1, we get 3 turns of type swaps are unfavorable, so make sure you do kill him on the first turn. Otherwise, you do need to stall out those 3 turns, but normally once you stall out those 3 turns, you get specials rewinded. It's just a bunch of nasty stuff. On stage 3, we come up against Kaido. So Kaido is going to give us himself 99 turns of full immunity, 99 turns of normal attack only. He's going to rewind all of our specials by 1 turn. He does 5 turns of paralysis, and then he's going to change the left column to block slots. After turn 1, he's going to interrupt, and every 2 turns after that, he will shuffle all of our slots randomly to bomb, empty, badly matching, or G slots. After the 3rd turn, he's going to blow away 2 random units, and on turn 5, he just kills you, basically. He does have a HP interrupt, obviously. He's going to heal full HP. And after the stage 30, he's actually going to set your right column's units to slot bind. So your right side is going to get 3 turns of slot bind, so make sure you have limit breaks available for your right side of your side teams to make sure that you can get around this when you hit stage level 30. So the teams that I've got built for you guys in this particular run, the first team I have is basically like a double V3 lore team, but you could use V3 Boa as a friend captain with this particular team, as V3 Boa is going to activate super typing, and she's going to be a higher leader as well. So the reason that we're bringing lore on our team here is so we can actually use the Corazon support. So with lore, we have that ability to use Corazon. That way we can actually remove the despair that gets inflicted on the 2nd stage against Hawkins. So with sockets and Corazon, we can actually remove that completely. Another way to get around that too is we can use the V1 Rayleigh support on the rare recruit Luffy that came out with lore. This Luffy is going to be really, really good, as he's an attack booster for you guys, as well as removing 5 turns of paralysis. But if you are bringing a friend Boa, make sure you use the Boa super typing first. That way you can get a 2.5 times attack boost rather than a 2 times attack boost. So he's replaceable, I guess, with another paralysis remover. Someone like Jumanji would work great, but I'll show you that in the next team. The next unit we have is the rare recruit Sabo that came out with the lore as well. So those 3 units we just mentioned are all boosted. They have their stats boosted, so they are going to be hitting absolutely stupidly hard. So if you can find a spot for them on this team, definitely add them on. He's here as he can roll our specials forward as well as the Luffy doing the same thing, but he also gives a 1.0 chain multiplier buff, which therefore stacks with Lore's chain locking ability. It's just such a nasty combo, and it can output so much damage. Next we have the Vivi that just came out for Treasure Map. She's going to be a 2.25 times color affinity booster for this particular team. You could replace her with someone like Hina, or you could replace her with the Luffy and the Boa as well. For a higher, or if you don't have this particular unit, or you could actually use the Alvida that came out for the last Kizuna too. She could work well, as this team's predominantly free spirit. The final unit we have on this team is Choppermon. So with Chopper, he's going to remove the attack down that gets inflicted on the Hawkins stage. Like I said, I don't know how significant that attack down is, but look, we have him here just in case. He isn't boosted on this team, unless you do run a friend Boa, of course, but he is boosted as a boosted character, so he's going to be outputting a little bit more damage. Plus, we can always start with him on the with our chain multiplier, so he's going to be our first hitter regardless. So that first hit is not going to be doing too much damage. So this team has a lot of damage. I imagine it could carry you through majority of the Kizuna, provided you guys aren't going over level 50 or something like that. The right hand side of my particular team, they all have slot blind resistance, so that actually works really, really well, as you can basically ignore that. So with this team, if you're running dual lore as well, you've got 2.25 times orbs, you've got the chain lock starting at 2.5, you've got a 2 times attack boost, you are running a friend Boa, or you could even run a friend Roger, to be honest, if you want to, and that way you can get a 3 times attack boost. But honestly, having Boa is probably a bit better, as you can actually use her Mirror ability on the Hawkins stage and heal, so then you activate the 4.5 times attack boost for lore. That combo is just going to work really, really well. Plus, having the super typing is going to be really, really effective too. We're going to have a 2.25 times color affinity with the VV, and then the extra chain multiplier. So our chain multipliers start at 3.5, which is incredibly high. It's ridiculously high. And then we're removing all the debuffs too. As I mentioned, you can just take your pick between Corazon or V1 Rayleigh. Either of those will work. And whichever one you're not using, make sure you just put a high stat booster, probably on lore. If you're running this Luffy still, use the Rayleigh, but if you're taking the Luffy off and placing him with someone like Jumanji, you could use the Corazon to remove the despair. The next team I have is another lore team. Again, you're most likely going to be bringing a friend Boa with this particular team, and this is just sort of another variation that you guys can use to get more damage. So we have replaced the VV with the Hina, but as I mentioned, with this Hina, you can replace them with someone like Alvida. Alvida could work really, really well here as well, as most of this team is free spirit. Alvida would probably work better on this team, to be honest, though. You could also replace Alvida with this Luffy and Boa as well. They're a 2.25 color affinity. They are going to get their special charged as they are fighters, but I wouldn't recommend adding them to the team until you actually get those other 4 orbs, just for a little bit more cooldown. We have Jumanji on this particular team just with their switch ability, as well as removing the paralysis. So their switch ability is going to give a chain multiplier buff by 1.25, which actually stacks with Law's ability. And with the Sabo rolling our specials forward, as well as giving the extra 0.1 or 1.0 to the chain multiplier, it's going to work really, really well. Again, our right side all has slop 1 removal, so we don't have to worry about that from stage 30. And this team can work for, like, this team should have so much damage. Like, I don't imagine this team's going to have, like, any issues whatsoever. If you're struggling to find friend boas, you could probably bring Wako as well. Wako's healing will basically just trigger Law's 4.5 times captain ability, and that'll help you out significantly. We have Corazon to remove the Despair on this particular team too, and then we have this Nami here too. She's going to remove the attack down that we get inflicted on the Hawkins stage. She's basically replaceable with any other attack down remover. Honestly, like, any attack down remover is going to work well, but again, I'm just not 100% sure like how effective Hawkins attack down is. You may just be able to stall that out after the 3 turns of him making every color orb matching. So that's the INT team. They're the 2 teams that I will most likely be running. Let's hop over to the next variation now. Alright, so once again, shout out to Frankie House. The second variation we are going to be looking at is the strength variation of Kaido. So against strength Kaido on stage 1, we get our strength, quick, and psi units 15 turns of cooldown, which is very, very handy. So make sure you are building teams with those colors. Ideally, you just want to be building a quick team, to be honest. On stage 2, we come up against Jack, who is a strength unit. He has 2 million HP, same as Hawkins basically. He has a preemptive where he puts up 10 turns of a hit barrier, and then he has 3 turns of defense up. He isn't immune to defense down though, which is something to note. So you can just sort of set his defense to 0. After turn 1 and every turn 2 turns after that, he's going to change all slots into unfavorable. So fairly annoying, but not the end of the world. Once you get to stage 3 against Kaido, we get 99 turns. He has 99 turns of full immunity, 99 turns of normal attacks only. He does 4 turns of burn, and then he does 6 turns of bind to the middle row only. The middle row only, it's not the end of the world because you can sort of just put units there that you don't really need, but ideally you kind of do want to get around it as well. So turn 3 is going to blow away 2 random units. Turn 5 is a death hit, but then when he dies, he actually reses with 21% of his HP back. So that is something to note. There is a res mechanic, but there are a couple ways to get around that. After stage 30, he is going to do 3 turns of ship bind. So he's going to bind your ship, which means that we aren't going to be having our extra buff from the ship that we are using. But like I said, it's not really the end of the world without having that buff. But let's have a look at the team that I've built for you guys for this particular piece of content. So the leader I have for you guys is actually Shanks' crew, and what I need to do here is put the Sharks of Superb as our ship. So Shanks' crew is a 3.5 times chain lock, which is really, really handy. But you could also rock Smoker as leader as well if you have him. He could also be very, very good, and then bring a friend Shanks' crew, or like run Shanks' crew on your team as well. That could be very, very viable as well. Or if you really want to as well, you could also run Sugar. So Sugar is basically built to get around sort of burn and the bind that gets inflicted. If you are running Sugar, I would definitely run like a Smoker friend. And if you're running Smoker, I would most likely run a Sugar friend, to be honest, or a Shanks crew friend, and then bring Sugar on your crew. Whatever really works for you guys. Like either way, it's going to be just as effective. On stage 2, when we come up against Jack, we are going to be using this free-to-play PvP Blackbeard. The PvP Blackbeard, he's actually going to set the defense to 0. He risks paralysis, which is whatever, but he also boosts our slot effects by 1.75 for 1 turn. Now, if you are running Shanks crew on this particular team, you could also run Shanks crew in the middle slot. Switch with Shanks crew so you have an attack boost as well as your matching orbs, and that way you're just going to have a heap of extra damage. Shanks crew is going to be our 3.5 times chain lock for the final stage. I would definitely find a spot for them somewhere on the team, whether you're running them as a leader or a friend captain. The 4.5 times rainbow buff is just exceptional. Our attack booster on this particular team is going to be Sober Mask. Sober Mask is actually going to rotate all of our orbs into T&D, so he's going to give us a full board of orbs with his amazing sailor ability as well. Plus, we can proc his special twice. That way we can get the 2.5 times attack boost, With the 2.5 times attack boost live, we can then use Smoker's special to get 2.5 times orb boost, which is a little bit higher than Sugar's. But the reason we want Sugar on this particular team is that we want Sugar to be able to turn us into bears, so that way we don't have to worry about the burn. On the final unit here, we do have Kuma. So this Kuma is going to be our color affinity booster. He's really, really good, as he is going to give us a 2 times color affinity boost to characters that are less than 40 cost. So when we use the special of Sugar and turn everyone into bears, everyone has a cost of 40, including Sugar. So therefore, we don't have to really worry about the burn at all, as we just don't take burn damage. With this Kuma too, we can actually use the support of this Bonnie. This Bonnie's amazing, as she removes bind by 5 turns. So with Sockets, you get 8 turns of bind removal. But if you didn't farm up this Kuma, you could actually replace him with someone like Okiku, the quick one, and actually bring the support of Whitey Bay. So the Whitey Bay support, I don't even know how to spell Whitey Bay. I know she's an int slasher, so let's just do that. So you can use the support of Whitey Bay, and with that support on Whitey Bay, what you can actually do is you can actually use Okiku special twice. That way we can remove 4 turns of bind. With Whitey Bay, it turns into 6 turns, and then Okiku can be your color affinity booster for this particular team as well. So that's another way to get around the bind that gets inflicted on our middle slots. With the Shark Superb, we are going to have heaps and heaps of damage, but I would definitely find a spot for Sugar if you have Sugar, or Smoker if you want to. Utilizing Smoker's super typing, if you can have him as a leader, I would definitely find a spot for him as a leader, as you can use his super typing to extend the attack and the orb boost that you guys have. So when you get the res mechanic, you can literally just tap with the bears again, and that way you've still got your 2.5 times attack and your 2.5 times orb boost. Smoker is quite a good quick captain as well, as every time you're hitting perfects, which with this particular team, you're always hitting perfects because you have bears. So you're consistently going up to a 5 times multiplier for quick units, and that way you can just absolutely devour Kaido. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to run this quick team. As you can see, like, I've only sort of got like one team for you guys that's built, as this is basically how I'm going to like operate. This Blackbeard too would be replaceable with anyone that removes defense up. I just like to bring characters that sort of set the defense to 0 when you can get around that if they don't have the immune to defense down debuff. But you could also just use someone like Bobbins. Bobbins is going to give you matching orbs, as well as remove attack down. He removes all the defensive effects as well, which is really, really strong. And there's a bunch of other, if we go into the search by filter, by our specials, we can look at anyone who does, which one is it? Enemy defense up. You can have a look here. There is a lot of defense up units you can use. So you could bring Don Krieg and Jin would work great as an orb booster as well. You could also bring the Sea Monster. They're a great orb booster too. So any of those units should work. Also looking at units that also set the defense to 0. Now, another way of getting around the res as well, if you are missing stuff like Sugar and Smoker and you're sort of just stuck with Shanks' crew here, you could actually just bring someone like this free-to-play Garb. So if you guys have farmed up the ambush, and you've got your hands on this Garp unit, you can actually slot him on the team for the res mechanic. That way, when they do get the res for 21%, you can just drop his special, and he's just going to insta-kill Kaido when he comes back. So, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to be building the quick team. I imagine I will probably do something like this, utilizing Sugar as my captain with a friend Smoker. I'll be using the Blackbeard to remove the defense up. I'll then be using the Kuma, or that's Luma, stumped, not Kuma. We want Kuma with the Bonnie support to remove the binds. Remember too that Sugar's bears aren't affected by bind, so that's also an option. But really, you want to make sure you can proc the super typing of, the double special of Sober Mask. That way, you can not really worry about having a lower attack boost. And then I'd have Shanks Shaw on this particular team for the 3.5 times chain lock, and then bring a friend Smoker. Whether you want to run Smoker as your leader, if you have Smoker and you're missing Sugar, you can always do that, or run Sugar and bring a friend Smoker. So that's the quick team, and that's enough about that, I think. But yeah, having Smoker as a leader is definitely the way to go. whether you are using a Sugar as your leader or bringing a Shanks crew as your leader, that'll work too. So let's hop into the final variation now, and let's check out the team against the PSY Variation. And for the final time, shout out to Frankie House for this infographic. Wherever you are, Frankie House, we appreciate you, man. Big shout out to him for making this infographic. It's done a really good job. Look at it. It looks so beautiful. So on the final variation, we come up against PSY Kaido. So PSY Kaido on stage 1 is going to make our shooter, fighter, and cerebral characters get special cooldown by 15 turns. On stage 2, we come up against page 1. He has the same amount of HP and attack as the other two, Jack and... who's the other one? Hawkins? Yeah, Jack and Hawkins. But he's going to have a 2-turn perfect hit barrier, and he's going to have 3 turns of damage threshold removal, which is fairly finicky to get around. But there are some units that you guys can bring to get around that. So on stage 3, we come up against Kaido. He has 99 turns of defense down, 99 turns of delay immunity, and 99 turns of normal attack only. He's going to change all of our slots into block and have 5 turns of damage reduction. After turn 1, he does 4 turns of 1 special limit only, so that's basically going to ruin your run. Turn 3, he blows away 2 random units, and on for turn 5, you die. Once you get him below 20%, he nullifies damage for 2 turns, and obviously he has the HP heal interrupts for HP cuts. After stage 30, he's going to Sailor Bind your middle and bottom row, and then he's going to also 1-turn special bind your entire crew, so you can't use specials. So there are a few ways to get around that after stage 30, and we will talk about them in the team that I am sort of building and the ideas I have for you guys. So let's hop back over to the game and let's have a look at the team that I've built. So what we're going to do here is we are going to be using the Dream Team Katakuri and Blackbeard. So if you guys have Blackbeard and not Katakuri, obviously just run Blackbeard as your captain. That way you guys can bring a friend Katakuri. But what I would... oh my god, game, why can't I find Blackbeard? Are you serious? Why can't I find Blackbeard? Like, what's going on? Why? Racist. Wait a second. Is Blackbeard's not a shooter, fighter, or cerebral, is he? Is he not? He's not. Okay, so Blackbeard's not actually going to get his cooldowns at the start. But it's not the end of the world, because like he has that amazing ability where he takes a shot, he can do damage. But what I would recommend to you guys, if you have Blackbeard, obviously just run Blackbeard and Katakuri. It's going to get it done for a very, very long time. Blackbeard's going to do all the heavy lifting for you with the 4 times attack and the 4 times orb boost. But what I would do in the early stages is if you have Katakuri, I would highly suggest running Katakuri as your lead and then bringing a friend Nami and Robin. If you don't have Katakuri, you can always bring Nami and Robin as your lead and bring a friend Katakuri. But if you do that, you will need to replace this Nami here with most likely the rare recruit Enel. That would work fairly well, I suppose, as you just really want someone that can sort of drop your HP. Beej is another option, but this Nami is the best at doing that, as she's also going to give us a 3 times chain multiplier as well. So because we have 4, 5 or more imp units, we're going to get 70% HP cut, triggers the Katakuri super typing. That way we can get the conditional for delay, as well as the 2 times conditional boost that way. If you guys aren't running Katakuri at all, what you can actually do is you can use this Reiju instead. So Reiju is actually going to be our block orb manipulator, and she's going to remove the threshold, the damage reduction on the final stage. She also has a conditional against poison units, so that is another option for you guys instead of using the Katakuri conditional, if you don't want to go around the finickiness of dropping your HP. But Katakuri's 2 times conditional boost is going to be better than the Reiju's 1.75. Katakuri is also a 2 times attack boost for your entire crew as well. So there is also that. He can be an attack booster for the early stages for you guys. But when things start getting a little bit tricky, you are definitely going to be needing to run a Blackbeard friend or your own Blackbeard that way. To get around the threshold on stage 2 against page 1, we are going to be using the Kobe and Helmeppo Clash free-to-play unit. The big reason we want to be using these guys is not only do they remove that threshold, but we can actually use the support of Sugo Garb. Now, the support of Sugo Garb is actually going to remove Special Blind by 3 turns, so that way we don't even have to worry about the Sailor bind that gets inflicted after stage 30, as Garb's just going to remove the Special Blind for us that way. If you don't have Garb and you are looking for another unit to get around that, you can, and you did summon on the lead up Straw Hats leading up to the NS Lobby event, you can actually use this Nami here. This Nami actually has the limit break ability where she gets fear reduction, and she's going to be very, very handy as she removes special blind as well. So she can actually remove the special blind that gets inflicted. Obviously, you just need to finish. I don't think I've finished limit breaking this Nami. Have I? Yeah, I haven't finished limit breaking this Nami. When you finish limit breaking this Nami, she actually gets the second crewmate ability. But that's another option for you guys. But the Nami that cuts your HP is definitely the best option here. The final unit we have on this particular team is Hannibal and Magellan. Magellan and Hannibal are going to be our color affinity boost. There are 2 times color affinity boost to int and quick units. But the real later down the track, the real character you want to be bringing is this guy and girl here, the Luffy and the Boa. Once you get some more orbs to these guys and you're getting a little bit more cooldown, their special is going to be amazing. Especially when you get to the point where you need Blackbeard, you're going to be stalling out anyway, so you are going to stall out for their special, and that way you can actually get a 2.25 times color affinity. They're also going to change block orbs, so that way you can replace this Reiju if you need to with another damage reduction unit to get around that particular debuff. But like I mentioned, bringing the Katakuri and Blackbeard Dream Team is going to be the best way to get around this and have the highest amount of damage output. But in the early stages, having the Nami and Robin lead and an orb boost and then Katakuri to give the attack boost, that's going to clear it for a very, very long time. So that way you don't have to just spend so much time stalling out for Blackbeard special all the time and stalling out for the Luffy and Boa special, and you can kind of blitz your way through it, especially those early stages. So that's the INT team that I have built for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to belt that like button, and if you want to stay up to date with more OPTC content I post, hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one. Lights!